Hi, I'm Dave Eyrig, and you're invited to join me out here on the rocks.
Woo! Working all week for a paycheck. By Friday, I'm ready to scream. I hate all this hustle and bustle, man. You know I really hate this scene. So I get off on the rocks. Yeah, yeah. Off on the rocks. Oh, baby, I get off on the rocks. Woo! Off on the rocks. Oh, yeah.
You're about to meet a group we like to call the Dirty 30. Because, well, there's 30, and in this sport, they love getting dirty. Today, we're gonna get inside the head of Frank Hayes of the Dirty 30 and his Moab mob and find out what drives them to the edge. We'll also teach you a four-wheeling skill every off-roader needs to know. We'll even show you how to transform your next cookout into a banquet fit for a king. All this while we crawl up one of the most rugged, breathtaking trails in the West. Now, rough riding on these back roads wouldn't be complete without a trail boss, and ours is none other than Rick Russell, a four-wheeling legend for over 30 years.
Woo!
Welcome to On the Rocks TV. We're up here in Moab, Utah, and the next trail we're going to run is the Rusty Nail Trail. It's a remote trail on the other end of town, out off of Highway 191. It's a tough trail. There's always carnage on it. You got to help each other get across, and we're going to go out and join Frank Hayes and his group as they make their way across.
I'm Frank Hayes. I live in Big Bear City, California. I've been a four-wheeler since 1977. My friends and I are here today to conquer the Rusty Nail Trail. It's a short trail, but it's a lot of fun. The obstacles, there's only about 3 main obstacles, and each one is unique unto itself. They're not the same type of obstacles. They really intimidate you the first time you go over them, but after you've been over them a few times, you see that you're not going to get into trouble, especially if you listen to your spotter, because the spotters can see things that you can't see from inside your vehicle, and consequently, you might think that you're way offline when they know you're right on, and you have to trust your spotter. We're out here in Moab, Utah this week. This is my 14th year. The scenery around is just awesome. I mean, you can't find the diversity anywhere else because almost every trail is different than the one you did the day before. The scenery, the challenges are all different on every trail. The trail we're doing today, the main obstacles are right in the middle of the trail, and they're fairly close together. The first obstacle, there's 2 ways up. We're gonna take the left side today. It's a pretty steep and ledgy, and you just have to take your time and work your way through it as you go. Each vehicle takes slightly different line depending on equipment and wheelbase. My buddies are all well equipped. You know, it should be no problem.
My name's George Ollinger. I've been wheeling for about 8 years. I started with my son, who took me out for a ride at Run-A-Muck, and I got hooked. We were there, and there was hundreds of Jeeps, every shape and color. And once I saw that, I just rode with him for a couple days. I just had to get one. It's hard for me to hike and do the things that I'd like to do because I love to be in the outdoors. I love the wilderness. I love to camp. I love the scenery and the people that you meet out here. So my only choice basically is to four-wheel drive. Now, with that, there's a lot of challenges to do that because you're constantly learning new techniques, making yourself better, trying to take harder Things like today, this is going to be interesting. This will probably be some of the hardest terrain that that I've ever done before. And to be quite honest, I'm pretty nervous about it.
I'm Ross Engel, and I've been four-wheeling for about 45 plus years. I started when I was a teenager, and I took my dad's Jeeps out and did basically this same sort of thing. They weren't as well equipped, and the trails weren't as developed, but it was fun and it was a good time, and I guess that's how I grew into this from the time I first started to drive.
My name is Mark Colby, and I've been four-wheeling, or I think I've been four-wheeling since 1982. For the first 10 years, I probably did more fire roads, and since the early 90s when I joined Orange County 4Play, I've been slowly building up the rig and been doing more difficult trails. Rusty Nail is an interesting trail. It's a fairly new trail. I'm guessing in maybe 8 to 10 years it's been around. It kind of links up to a part of the Golden Spike Trail. It's a rougher trail than some are. There's 3 good obstacles on it. And on the first one, there's the old traditional entrance, and there's sort of a go-around, but the go-around is every bit as tough as most entrances to any trails. There's a good ledgy area about the middle of the trail until the place that, well, we'll see very soon here, the kind of four-wheeling we do nowadays.
Stick around as we see if Frank and his buddies got what it takes to navigate the treacherous notches of Moab. Sounds like a recipe for breaking things to me. We'll find out coming up right here on The Rocks.
The next obstacle after the second one there, it used to be that you went up a steep slide right in the center of granite outcropping, but it's gotten so dug out at the bottom, unless you're in an extreme rock buggy, you're really not likely to make it. But off to the right now has become a bypass, which is a lot of large boulders that you're working your way over, and you're having to straddle gaps between them. So you really need to rely on your spotter on that one.
Rusty Nail is one of those short trails that has some very strong obstacles on it. The first one, of course, there's the original entrance that we will be doing. I'm going to try a little bit more aggressive run than that one. Oh! Yeah, that was aggressive, all right. Sound good?
Mark was trying to climb the ledge there, and he was worried about the tire spin, so he gave it what is known as the Moab bump. He hit it just a little bit too hard, and when he hit it, the back end came off the air with a real big bounce. When the tire came down, it sheared the flange on the rear differential that the drive shaft bolts to.
George went ahead and took the broken piece off of the back here of the drive shaft. I'm going ahead and unbolting the front end of the drive shaft off up here.
It's nice that you've got a spare drive shaft so that we can just R&R the drive shaft, and in a few minutes we'll be going again.
I have a Ford style drive shaft that just bolts in and doesn't have a lot of the U-joints and U-bolts like some of the other styles do. So it's a matter of taking 4 bolts off of the front and 4 bolts off of the rear and just bolting the new drive shaft right in place, and we're good to go.
To most people out on the trail, this would be like a major overhaul, but Mark has experienced many different types of breakdowns over the years out on the trail because we go wheeling so much. We usually carry spare parts, and it makes it much more simple to get going again on the trail. Stuff that can break easily, like this drive shaft flange, really pays to have the right tools and equipment with you when you get into this serious stuff. I'm real happy that I go with Mark because he's well equipped the same as I am, and what he doesn't have, I have, or vice versa. We've gotten each other off the trail a lot of times. Just depends on your level of wheeling to what you really need to carry with you.
Further on there will be well, it used to be the ledge you could climb up. It was one of these rock walls that almost was doable. Now it's strictly buggy country, and there's a real rocky bypass that you have to go through that is really difficult in some places if you don't get your proper tire placement. And at the end of the trail, let's just say that when you get there, you'll appreciate scenery and the awe factor. It's quite the obstacle at the end of the trail.
The last obstacle we're going to do, you turn a hard left and then a hard right and line up, and there will be a steep downhill with a high bank on your right-hand side, and you have to hug that bank. And just as you're getting down to the end of it, there's a little ledge that rides along the edge of the bank, and it's only a few inches wide, and you have to keep your tire right on that. If you're only a few inches from the bank, and if you got a hard top or something that's going to get damaged, you're thinking, I want to turn left, I want to get away from that. But if you do that, you get off that ledge, you drop down, your top hits the bank, and you're going up a huge boulder on your left side. It's really intimidating the first time. But if you watch your spotter, and then at the very last minute before you come up on an outcropping that you think it's going to take your top and your windshield out, you just make a last-minute turn to the left and drive out. It's really quite simple, but you have to pay attention.
I kind of have a unique rig. It's a scrambler, which they made very few of, only some 26,000 of them in the time. It's a CJ version. I bought it in 1982, brand new. I should say first off that my scrambler is bone stock. Other than that, it has a 4-liter engine in it. It has a second transfer case. It has Curry high pinion axles with 1-ton outers. It has a air-driven pump in it. Just a few basic things. 37-inch tires. The stuff you almost have to do the little trails we do nowadays. And at the end of the trail, let's just say there's this huge wall. You come over this large rock, go straight down. You can hardly see the bottom, and you have to hug the wall. Otherwise, you will fall over into several hundred feet down below you. That's the kind of obstacle. It's not one of the things that's death-defying by any means, but it will get your attention. You have to follow your spotter. I mean, you have to do anything your spotter tells you to do because you cannot see what you're doing. That's what makes that obstacle very difficult at the end of this trail. But it's beautiful, and once you've done it, you say, I'm a wheeler now.
Next up,
I think I have the confidence to do it without too much damage or killing myself, so we'll see what happens.
coming up right here on the rocks.
Today, this is going to be interesting. This will probably be some of the hardest terrain that I'm ever going to, that I've ever done before. And to be quite honest, I'm pretty nervous about it.
My buddy George, this is his first time to Moab, so he's getting a great indoctrination on this because this is listed as one of the few extreme trails here. So I'm going to enjoy guiding him through.
This is going to be some of the hardest things I've done yet, but I feel that Frank and Mark are going to, spot me through, and I'll be good. I have a good rig, it's built well, and I think I have the confidence to do it without too much damage or killing myself, so we'll see what happens. I had my CJ7, got it all working really well, although it was not built at all for off-road, it was just stock. Had joined the California Four-Wheel Association, and Frank Hayes was the president of the club. Got to know him very well and the other club members. They took me out, basically showed me that I knew nothing about four-wheeling, and we started from scratch. Since then, Frank has been my mentor, also Mark Colby, and that's really, I would suggest for anyone. If you're interested in four-wheeling, go out with a club. They know how to outfit you, they know how to get you through the tight spots and get you going correctly. I have a 2003 Rubicon. I'm an engineer, so most of the modifications I have made on it are not flashy, but they all have a purpose. The original rig comes with lockers, a 4-to-1 T-case, disc brakes in the rear, some things like that that got me a good start. Then, of course, you have to get it higher so your differentials can go over these large rocks. To do that, you have to have larger tires. To do that, you have to have a lift kit. When you have the larger tires, you can't take a spare and mount it on the back. It'll pull the tailgate off. So now you need bumpers. that will hold it, and on and on and on. So expect to spend between $6,000 and $10,000 more above the cost. But once you do that first initial, bounce, or it hurts a little, but once you do that, then you are going to have a much better time.
I've only been on this trail once before, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe a little nervous about how I hear that it's changed and that it may be more challenging than it was. Entrance here looks about the same with a lot of loose rock and dirt, and now most of the loose rock has gone away and there's just boulders left. I've got a 1981 CJ5. It's probably the most original stock of the group here. It's the smallest of the vehicle with the smallest tires and probably the least modification. It does have a slight lift of 2.5 inches, 33-inch tires and air-locking differentials. But the transfer case is a 4-to-1, and so it's lower geared than the original. But other than that, it's basically stock. Some things are a little bit more of a challenge because steps on rock steps up to shelves and that are harder to do with smaller tires and a shorter wheelbase. I've been going four-wheeling probably on the average of 1.5 times a year. You end up that you lose a lot of skill, so it's hard to get started on the first part of the week. So it's really interesting to keep up with these guys and see that you still do have some driving skill after that amount of time.
Got to let her limber up a little bit before I push her.
My wife, her first experience off-roading was with my new 77 Ram Charger, and caught the front end, mashed it in. I like to never heard the end of that, but she's been off-roading with me still ever since. She never went on anything really hardcore until in 1999 she had her stroke and couldn't get out much. Since then, she's been going with me ever since on all of the hardcore stuff. Anywhere I go, she goes with me, and it's a little difficult with her being paralyzed, but we have a lot of fun together.
His wife, Sue, is another really good example of how anyone with a disability can really enjoy the outdoors. It's incredible how Frank not only is a wonderful four-wheeler and has a great rig and helps everybody on the trail. If somebody breaks down, he's there to help, but he also takes care of Sue. I got to tell you, she's gutsy. She goes with him all over the place. Trails we call it pucker trails.
Frank is the kind of guy, he may look like a big bad bear, but he's the softest, kindest hearted individual you'll ever see in your life. He will do anything for anybody, anytime, hands down. And of course, his wife is no exception. If she wants to come out on the trail, he will do anything in his power to get her out here. He takes care of everything that she needs on the trail to make the trip as nice as possible for her. It's just a wonderful relationship. One of the interesting things about all the closures and things, they want you to be able to walk into trails and have wilderness and everything. That is such a wrong solution. There are so many people out there that have disabilities and can't really walk into trails. How else can you come out here except to be able to ride in a Jeep? This is the only way, and that kind of thing needs to stay open for the public. Just another fun day on the rocks.
Next up,
Did you just say smoking sausage and pumpkin pancakes?
coming up right here on the rocks.
Well, today we're cooking up on the rocks smoking sausage and pumpkin pancakes. This is a great recipe. It's super easy.
Cookie.
Hey, Dave.
Did you just say smoking sausage and pumpkin pancakes?
I did, Dave. Smoking sausage and pumpkin pancakes.
And you said it's easy.
It's really easy.
Can I help?
Yeah. Shake this, Dave.
Shake.
Shake it. That's the mix. I make the mix ahead of time. I can freeze it, use it as a hunk of ice in the cooler, but it's really easy that way, and I don't have to worry about carrying the eggs and the milk and the pancake mix. But the way I make this stuff is I take pancake mix and I use half pancake mix and half pumpkin bread mix. And what that gives you, Dave, is an incredibly great pancake to go with your smoking sausage.
Now, how in the heck did you come up with pumpkin pancakes and smoking sausage?
Well, Dave, About 15 years ago, I was on the trail in Mexico with a new four-wheel drive club I was trying to join up with. And you know, they put you through the ringer to join these clubs. They make you fill out forms and go on outings with them, and it might take like 6 months or more to get online with them. Well, I cooked up pumpkin pancakes and smoking sausage in the morning. I was a member by the afternoon.
Huh. You think that would work with girls?
No, Dave, that wouldn't work with girls.
All right, well, can I try one of them pancakes?
Absolutely, come on.
What we got?
Plate up.
I got a plate.
Dave, this was the first pancake, but don't let that, you know, don't let that give you any issues.
I ain't afraid. That's very good.
It's very good and it's very easy. Like I said, it's half pancake mix, half pumpkin bread mix, your favorite sausage, patties, and you're on the road.
I got one suggestion. Can you make mine in this pan?
You know, Dave, I think we can make it in that pan. Cooking with On the Rocks, pumpkin pancakes, and smoking sausage.
You bet.
It was a fine trail. I know the way you creeped up that first obstacle, you put the severe pressure on me to do something equally as well, which I know I couldn't do, or something totally different, which is to try the aggressive approach. Well, guys, you see what happens with that aggressive approach. You get to fix things on the trail. But then again, you know, we got a chance to have a little tech tip there on the fix-it things.
Listening to you guys is enough to scare the pants off somebody sometimes. You describe these things. You know, the third obstacle, I thought coming back was going to be the toughest. It turned out to be a piece of cake. Going down really wasn't that bad either, actually.
It's the easiest as long as you spot correctly and pay attention. It's
In fact, I don't know, what do you guys think was the worst one?
Well, obviously for me, the first one was since I hammered on the thing.
I was worried before, and I was worried all night last night thinking about it too.
And you see what happened. We can get through things. It takes team effort, that takes good spotters, takes good wheel placement, and it also takes the attitude. I think that's a primary thing. If you come out here and you really don't think you're going to be able to do it, chances are you're right.
Yeah, your back tire was like this.
This wasn't an inch though. This was like 4 feet or something.
You know, it's one thing to roll over, to lay on your side. Yeah, you're going to have some damage, but here, I mean, look over there. If you would be going along that and you've rolled over, you're climbing rocks right along that edge, you're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing, I don't care what kind of roll cage or anything, you're up the creek and on the rocks. Set, high five.
High five, guys.